All right, Shalom, Shalom, Israel. First, I want to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh. Ba'ashima Mashiach Umarak Yahushua. Yahweh is the name of the Heavenly Father, which the world calls God, and Yahushua is the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. First, I want to give a strong shalom to all the mighty men that go out there and labor. They're presenting their bodies as a living sacrifice. They're doing all they can to wake up the lost sheep of the house of Israel, enduring the elements, the 100-degree weathers, the freezing below codes, and everything that's trying to hinder the work of the Most High. Shalom, shalom. I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty Akwath, right? The sisters that are at home, but they're reverencing their husbands, being teachers of good things, and the unmarried sisters as well, being tender, delicate, and on fire for the Most High God. Shalom. I want to give another strong shalom to all the mighty teenagers and children in this truth as well, doing all they can to make their calling and election sure in the last days. Right? Shalom to everybody tuning in to the comment board. Love, P.S., Uriah, 12 Stones, Vernon Brody, right? And everybody that will tune in, most High willing. And by the topic of this cold cut is titled, You Must Have Integrity in Order to Survive in These Last Days. All right? You must have integrity in order to survive the end of the world. Right? And a lot of people, you might see these movies of people surviving the end of the world, Jacob's Trouble, The Purge. The only way you're going to be protected by that or survive that is not by your weapons, not by the guns, not by your food that you're stocking up on, not about how many riches you have, how many abundance of things you have in your closet. The only way you're going to survive that, you must have integrity. You want to know how to survive the end of the world? Guess what? You must have integrity. That's the only way you're going to survive. Now, to the survivalists and the men that's experienced in that field in the world, they're going to tell you, what are you talking about? That's not how you survive. Where are you getting this information from? You sound crazy. Ask your family members, wait, how do you survive Jacob's Trouble? How do you survive the end of the world? They're going to give you a carnal answer. We're here to tell you, you must have integrity in order to make it to survive in these last days, escape the sad perils, the demons, the spiritual warfare out here, in order to make it to the kingdom of heaven. You must have integrity. If you don't have integrity, guess what? You're not going to make it. It's plain upon tables, right? So I want to kick it off first with the book of Psalms, chapter 106. All right, let's kick it off with the book of Psalms, chapter 106. And when you go into the definition of integrity, it's having high morals or you being honest and morally upright. All right. Now, when you examine the men in the Bible, chiefly our righteous forefathers and foremothers, that's a heavy characteristic that they carry no matter what. All right. Right. All praise to the Most High. The brother put it up through the Spirit. The definition of integrity, the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles, moral uprightness. All right. All praise to the Most High. So that's something you need to have. And to simplify that definition, we're going to read Psalms 106 and verse 3 for a simpler definition. All right. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 106 and verse number 3. It says, Blessed are they that keep judgment, and he that doeth righteousness at all times. I'm going to read that last part again. It says, and he that doeth righteousness at all times. So the biblical definition for integrity is doing what's right all the time, even when no one is watching. So you have to ask yourself, do you have high levels of integrity? Are you always doing what's right, even when nobody's watching, even when you're at home, when you're not at camp, when you're by yourself, when you're at work? If you're not, then guess what? You're not having integrity. How are you operating when you're not around other people? You're not around the brothers in your congregation. You're not around the sisters, the women are you in the congregation. Are you staying in the spirit? Are you acting just like, hey, well, ultimately, you have to be acting in order, just like if Yahweh was next to you. It says what? Blessed are they that keep judgment, and he that doeth righteousness at all times. So the Lord said a man or a woman is blessed if they're doing righteousness at all times. Now, how many people in the world, literally on this earth, is doing what's right all the time, even when nobody's watching? Nobody's doing that. You have certain people, they duck off, they smoking cigarettes when nobody's looking. People at your job because they don't want people to talk about them. Putting on, want instant gratification. Doing things just for the intention. You have certain women, they literally get peer pressure. Men get peer pressure to do things. But who's going to stand up and say, you know what? Although whatever these people are doing around me, I'm going to stay true to the Most High God. I'm going to do what's right in my spirit. I'm going to do what the Lord commanded me to do. I don't care what situation or what state you're in. If you're a poor man, guess what? You still have to have integrity. A lot of people say, you know what? Hey, I'm not rich. Why should I have integrity right now? I'm at a low estate. Well, it doesn't matter if you're at a low or a high estate. You still have to have integrity. Guess what? You have to have integrity on a plane. You have to have integrity on a bus. You could be 6,000 feet underwater in a submarine. We here to tell you, you still have to have integrity. You could be at Walmart. You have to have integrity. You could literally be anywhere. This is a characteristic you must have. And a lot of brothers don't talk about this, man. A lot of women don't talk about this. But we here to, this is what's key. And I love and I'm heavy on integrity because that's a part of character. That's something you have to develop. People don't just have stuff like that. Now, through the spirit, if you're elected by the Most High God, you're going to have those characteristics of the elect. Nevertheless, character is in this generation, it's not harped on as it should be. People don't have no morals at all. Women sleep who would they want to sleep. They don't care. Guess what? They don't have integrity. Men do God knows what, whenever. Guess what? All of that is a part of not having integrity. The Lord said, blessed is the man that doeth righteousness all the time. I'm going to read that again. This Psalms 106:3. Blessed are they that keep judgment, and he that doeth righteousness at all times. And you have to ask yourself in the mirror. You have to go in the mirror and look at yourself and say, you know what? Am I doing what's right all the time? Or am I doing what's right when some of the times? Or am I only doing right on the Sabbath day? Am I only doing right on the feast days? No, you have to do righteousness all the time. What is righteousness? Righteousness is keeping the commandments. And integrity is a characteristic that's going to define who you are as an individual. Right? Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 31. All right. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 31 and verse number 6. Right? This is the book of Job, chapter 31 and verse number 6. And it reads, let me be weighed in an even balance. So Job said, hey, Lord, hey, Most High, you got to weigh me. You got to weigh my works in the balance. Read knowing it says that God may know my integrity. So guess what? Everybody has to be weighed in the balance. Your works, what you do. Because guess what? If your evil works outweigh your good works, that's not a just balance. That balance is outweighed. That meaning what? You're a wicked man. You're a wicked man. You don't have no morals, no integrity, not doing nothing the law says. Guess what? Job said, let me be weighed in the evil balance. It says that God might note my integrity. Now, certain people, they only have integrity unto man, right? When people's around. Guess what? It's about having integrity to the Lord, man, to the Most High God. Can the Most High God, if he was to give a report about you, can he say you have integrity? Like, these the questions you want to ask yourself. Because when you asking yourself, Obviously, you want to be honest. You being honest with yourself, guess what? You're going to say, dang, I don't know if the Most High can say that about me. I did A, B, and C. I haven't been on the right path lately. This been out of order in my life. Guess what? If Abraham was back, which he is, we don't know who he is. But if Abraham was here, right here on the earth now, and guess what? The Most High, he can honestly say, guess what? The Most High could say, I'm a man of integrity. If Job was here, Job would say, yeah, the Most High definitely would say, I'm a man of integrity. What about you as a woman, as a man? Can the Lord say, guess what? This servant right here has a high level of integrity. Hey, that's what Job said. I'm going to read that again. Job 31:6. Let me be weighed in an even balance, that God may know my integrity. If my step have turned out of the way, and if my heart have walked after my eyes, and if any blot have cleaved to my hands, meaning if I haven't been on fire, if I haven't been walking in integrity, if I haven't been doing what's right, what did Job say? Verse 8, then let me sow and another eat. Yeah, let my offspring be rooted out. Hey, Job basically said, hey, let my kids be destroyed. If I'm a man that has no integrity, I'm just doing God knows what in the dark. When nobody's looking, I'm not having no moral uprightness. I'm getting peer pressured all the time by the spiritual demon Satan. Guess what? Hey, let my kids be destroyed, man. Let me sow and another man eat up my works, my rewards. Basically, he said, hey, let me work for the kingdom, but let another man get it. That's what he means by let him sow and another eat. Because another man is going to eat up your reward. This is how serious integrity is. Guess what? You could get killed for not having integrity, man. Literally. You know how many people die? Get locked up in prison? They fall out of the truth? Literally, I mean, anything. Let's go to the book, right, of, let me get Proverbs chapter 20. Right, let's go to the book of Proverbs chapter 20 and verse number 7. I'm going to start at verse 6. Proverbs chapter 20 and verse number 6. And this characteristic is very rare living in the land of the living. This Proverbs 20 and 6, it says, most men will proclaim everyone his own goodness. Right? Because every man or individual is going to say, yeah, I could do this. I could do that. I bring this to the table. I do this. Every man is going to talk of himself highly of what he has. But what? But a faithful man, who can find it? So hey, the Lord said, hey, everybody's going to talk, but who's going to find a faithful man? Who's going to find an upright man, a man of integrity? What does it mean by who could find it? That means it's rare. The Lord said in Proverbs 31 and 10, who could find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. Meaning, this is rare, man. Where am I going to get a virtuous, strong woman full of integrity, morally upright? All of this stuff is rare. Again, you don't find that now. You find a bunch of gangbangers, evil men, workers of iniquity, men that don't fear God. Whether you in or out, you have certain men in the truth that don't fear the Most High. Women in the truth, they don't fear God. The Lord is saying, wait, who could find this out? Read on verse 7. The just man walketh in his integrity. His children are blessed after him. So the Lord said, a just man walketh in integrity. So if you're walking in integrity, you're just. If you're not, the Lord called you an unjust man. You're an unjust person. Evil. And you doing this, you're going to execute evil by your uprightness, by your integrity, like Job did. Let's go to the book of, see what I want, Proverbs, it's like it's Psalms, chapter 26. Right? Let's go to Psalms, chapter 26, and verse number 1. It's like your page is ripped. This Psalms, chapter 26, and verse number 1, and it reads, so out here. It says, "Judge me, O Lord, for I have walked in my integrity. I have trusted also in the Lord, therefore I shall not slide." So David said, guess what? Judge me, for I have walked in my integrity. And once you have integrity consistently, you start to feel more confident. You start to feel bold. You start to dwell safely, like it tell you in Proverbs, the first chapter. Why? Because you have wisdom protecting you. You have a hedge. You're not worried about a stray bullet hitting you. You're not worried about you being judged by the Most High God. Why? Because you're doing what's right. And when you do what's right, guess what? The Lord has his angels camped about you. He has you protected through the Spirit. Now, if you're not walking in integrity, guess what? You're going to get caught out there. You're going to be going home from work. Guess what? The tire going to go out. Right? You're going to be on the way home. Guess what? Damn wife, the spirit of your wife, she's going to turn into a nigga woman. You're going to be doing God. No, you're going to be just out and about, and all type of manifold judgments is going to behold you. You're going to be at work. Damn, fall off a ladder. Like, all of these judgments happen ultimately because men, they're not walking in integrity. Hey, David said, guess what? Hey, Lord, you could judge me right now. Try my works. Because David knew what he was doing was upright. He didn't have nothing to worry about. That's like a child, you know what I'm saying? The parents tell you when you go to school, you come home, you get good grades on your report card, you don't have anything to worry about. You saying, guess what can my mom say now? Got good grades. I'm feeling good. Versus that child, knowing they got bad grades, knowing they was cutting up in school, when they get home, they're worrying because they know what's finna happen. They finna get in trouble. The Lord said you don't even have to worry about that if you have integrity. It says what? David said, I shall not slide. Verse 2, it says, examine me, O Lord, and prove me, and try my reins and my heart. Right, let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 17. Right, let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 17, and verse number, let me see what I want. Verse number 3. Psalms chapter 17 and verse number 3. It says, thou hast proved my heart. Thou hast visited me in the night. And the Lord is always visiting man. Whether when you sleep, when you wake up, on your way doing whatever you do to your everyday life, the Lord is always going to visit you. He's going to try you, test you. David said, thou hast proved my heart. Thou hast visited me in the night. Thou hast tried me and shall find nothing. So David said, hey, Lord, you're going to try me, but guess what? You're not going to find nothing. No blocks, no blemishes. Now, why would David say that? If David is an evildoer, a wicked man, a man that's doing God knows what behind closed doors, why would he say, when you try me, you're not going to find anything? You're going to not find nothing to accuse me of. Why? Because David had integrity, man. David was behaving himself. Read 1 Samuel, the 18th chapter. How David behaved himself more than all the servants of Saul. David had a high level of temperance, right? David belittled or humbled himself as a child. Read Psalms chapter 131. Guess what? David said, thou hast visited me in the night. Thou hast tried me, and thou shalt find nothing. What you have to ask yourself, if the Lord visits you right now, is he going to find something? Is he going to say you have done this? Is he going to say you're going to walk in, you haven't been walking in your integrity? What if the Lord visits you? What if the Most High visits you right now? What is he going to find? Is he going to find sin behind your closet door in the secret that no man knows about, only the Most High? What is he going to find? Guess what? David said, hey, the Lord won't find nothing, man. I've been doing what I supposed. I've been keeping the commandments. Oh yeah, temptation. I've been rebuking temptation. I've been staying in the spirit. Satan has not been getting me out the spirit. Reading, oh yeah, I've been reading. Fasting, you know I've been doing that. Magnifying your name, you know I'm praying. Oh, that's not a problem. David said, thou shalt find nothing. It says what? I am purpose that my mouth shall not transgress. So David, when you have integrity, your confidence level is gonna be through the roof. Cause you know you have nothing to worry. You don't have no judgments to worry about. Guess what? You keeping the commandments. You on fire in this thing. You watching the videos. You having your mind meditating on the ordinances of the Lord. That's Sirach chapter 39 and verse 1. Guess what? Your purpose that you're not gonna slide. Let's go to the book of Luke, right? I believe that's Luke chapter 9 and verse number 35. Right? Let me see if that's what I want. Right? So like, yeah, that's not what I want. Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 8. Right? Let's go to the book of 2 Corinthians, the 8th chapter. So again, you must have integrity in order to survive in the last days. Right? Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 8 and verse number 21. 2 Corinthians 8 and 21. It says providing for honest things. So when you have integrity, you're honest through the spirit. You had a spirit of sincerity, or you're sincere. So Paul said, guess what? I'm providing for honest things. It says not only in the sight of the Lord, because you can have, like I said, you can have, you know how many people have integrity when they're around brothers and sisters in the truth, when they're around like-minded people, righteous people, people that's keeping the commandments. It's easy. Why? Because you know you have somebody to be able to rebuke you. No brother is gonna just pull out a cigarette or pull out some weed and light it up to another brother. Nobody's gonna pull out a pork sandwich and start eating it. No, because somebody's gonna say something. So not only do you want to have integrity in the sight of the Lord, but what? It says, but also in the sight of men. And that's how you truly define integrity. Being honest in the sight of the Most High God and in the sight of men. Because what are you going to do when you're in this world full of people that don't know the Most High? They don't know the laws of God. You would think it would be easier. No, these people don't know the law. They're not going to hold you accountable for eating pork, man. They're not going to hold you accountable for being a whoremonger. They're not going to hold you accountable for smoking, tattoos, whatever it is that you deal with, slothfulness. These people are not going to hold you accountable for that. Alcoholism, they're going to just let it slide. They're not going to say anything. They're going to say, hey, dang, I didn't know you was like that. Hey, go ahead, do your thing. If anything, they're going to glorify it. But you have it integrity. That's going to stop that right at the door. Because when sinners entice you this world sin, you're going to say, nah, I can't do that. Well, what do you mean you don't want to eat this box of pizza? No, that has pork. We got to keep the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High. In certain situations, you have to have integrity in the sight of men. It's nothing. And ultimately, it's nothing wrong with saying no. Certain people, they're scared to say no. They're a yes man to everything. Whatever the spiritual demon Satan says do, you just say yes. You say, do this? Okay. Go off? Okay. And you're not saying no. When are you going to start saying no? When are you going to stop saying no? Right, Salakia? When are you going to start saying, no, we have to keep the laws of the Most High God? This is not what the Lord required us to do. When are you going to start thinking about the precepts, man? Because every time you're not in a situation, you're not having integrity. Let's read that again. Second Corinthians chapter 8 and verse number 21. Providing for honest things, not only in the sight of the Lord, but also in the sight of men. You want to have integrity in the sight of the Most High God, and as well in the sight of evildoers and unjust men. Let's go to the book of Job, right? Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 2, right? This is the book of Job, chapter 2, and verse number what? I'm going to start at verse 2. Job 2 and 2. It says what? And the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? And Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Thou movest me against him to destroy him. It says what? Slakia. It says, and he still holdeth fast his integrity. Right? Salakia. Camera fell. All right, Mosai willing and stays. I'm going to read that again. It says, an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil, and still holdeth fast his integrity, although thou movest me against him to destroy him without the cause. So although Job was going through the different things he was going through, being smitten with boils, right? Having his children die, all of his cattle died, losing everything. Guess what? What did Job still have at the end of the day that nobody could take away from him? His integrity, his ability to still serve the Most High God. Being realistically, if God took everything away from you, a lot of brothers will curse God and die, man. They will go back into the world. They will go into sin. They say, well, I don't have nothing anyway. Do the lust of the flesh. What if the Lord took everything from you? Would you still go to camp? Would you still read? Would you still fast? Would you still pray? Because that's what Job did, man. Job didn't have an excuse. He still holdeth fast his integrity. And that's something that you couldn't take away from him. Why? Because it was built into his character. I'm gonna read on. It says, jumping down to verse number 8, and he took a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife unto him. Now while all of this is happening, his wife comes out of nowhere. It's nowhere, no account where she was at, Job, when all hell is breaking loose. Instead of his woman comforting him, building him up, motivating him, when all hell was breaking loose, what did she say? And this was ultimately Satan. It says what? Then said his wife unto him, dost thou still retain that integrity? And that's spiritual, because what? That's what these demons gonna say. Do you still have your integrity? You know you want to do this. Why don't you just, you just got jammed up in a situation. Why don't just take it easy, take a nap. Don't even read today. No, you had a long day at work, right? You know your wife is making you angry. Why don't you just go and drink some liquor? Go to the club. These are the different devices of Satan. But guess what Job said? Guess what she said? It says, curse God and die. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. What, shall we receive good at the hand of God? And shall we not receive evil? And all this Job sinned not with his lips. So through all of this, Job didn't sin. Now, we're not going to go into an in-depth breakdown of what Job actually went through, but you could read it on your own. Job caught hell, man. More than just anybody in the scriptures in general. Nevertheless, one thing he still had was his integrity, his ability to serve God, his ability to, although he was at a low estate, still not be moved, still not go off. Like we said, a lot of brothers, they would just go off, man. Go into sin, stop being on fire, stop reading, right? Stop keeping the commandments, right? Let's go to the book to Job. Let's go to the book of Job, chapter 27 and verse number 3, the classic, right? Job chapter 27 and verse 3. And every brother and sister have to have this mentality. Because if you don't, you will be destroyed. You're going to end up going off. Spiritual demon going to tempt you. Spiritual demon saying going to tempt you. End up going off, and the Most High going to get up with you for your sins. All because you didn't have integrity. All because you didn't want to tell sin no. You can't be scared to tell sin no. You can't be scared to tell these demons no. Hey, we're going to serve the Lord. Hey, what did Joshua say? As for me and my house, guess what? We're going to serve the Most High God. We're not listening to no demons, man. And witchcraft. A lot of demons just beat up brothers and sisters. And they don't do anything about it. No, you have to have integrity. Right? This Job 27 and 3. All while my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils. My lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. Hey, Job said, hey, while I'm breathing, as long as I'm breathing, I'm not going to speak no wickedness. My tongue is not going to utter no deceit. A lot of people, they have a bad mouth. They gossip. A lot of women, they gossip in the truth. They talk about other sisters. All right. They're verbally abusive. Certain men, they have a worldly spirit on them to where they're saying all type of manner of mischief and lewdness is coming out of their mouth. Hey, Job said, hey, while I'm living, guess what? I'm not going to speak no wickedness. Do you always have a righteous conversation? Even when you're around people of the world? Because like we said, it's easy to talk about righteousness with brothers and sisters around you. What about when you're maneuvering through the world? When you're with worldly wicked Jake and Eve, right? And she's constantly trying to provoke you to get with her. Guess what? You cannot speak any wickedness. No wickedness should come out of your mouth due to your integrity. It says what? Verse 5, Job 27 and 5. God forbid that I should justify you. Till I die, I will not remove my integrity from me. A Job said, guess what? I'm not going until I give up the ghost, I'm gonna hold fast my integrity. That's something that you're not gonna take from me. I'm gonna stay true to the Most High, no matter what situation it is. Don't matter if somebody else is going off. Don't matter if I'm out of the spirit. If I lose everything, if I'm in a jammed up situation, hey, guess what, Most High? I'm gonna still stay true to the commandments. And that's ultimately what integrity, I mean, it's so many definitions. Ultimately, through the spirit, you have integrity is when you saying, no matter what circumstance I'm in, I'm always going to stay true to the commandments of the Most High and keep his commandments, keep his statutes. When you go outside of the commandments, that's when your integrity starts to fade away. Read on, verse 6. My righteousness I hold fast and will not let it go. My heart shall not reproach me so long as I live. And that's what Job said, a man full of integrity. Right? Let's go to the book of Daniel, chapter 1. Right? This is the book of Daniel, chapter 1 and verse number 8. It reads, but Daniel purposed in his heart that he would not defile himself with a portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now you might say, well, hold on. King Nebuchadnezzar is just offering him to a banquet to drink. It gets deeper than that. It goes back all the way to the book of Genesis, the 43rd chapter. Daniel, he could have ate and he could have defiled himself with the king's meat, sitting down with the heathen, with the other nations, eating, drinking, and being merry. But guess what? He had some type of integrity to say, hold on, my forefathers didn't do this. Guess what? I'm not going to do this. Judith did the same thing. Let's go to that in Judith. I believe that's 12. Let's go to the book of Judith. Chapter 10. Judith chapter 12 and verse number, I'm going to start at verse 1. It says, Judith 12 and 1. Then he commanded to bring her in where his plate was set, and bade that they should prepare for her of his own meats, and that she should drink of his own wine. It says, now this is Holofernes, bringing in the meat, the banquet. This is what Judith said, verse 2. And Judith said, I would not eat thereof, lest there be an offense, but provision shall be made for me of the things that I have brought. Now again, this is the same thing Daniel was saying. The same thing Tobit said through the Spirit. Let's go to Tobit chapter 1 and verse. Actually, let's go to Genesis 43 and 20 and verse number 23. Now this goes back ultimately to the law. This Genesis chapter 43 and verse number 23. And it reads, it says, I'm going to start at verse Genesis chapter 43 and verse number 32. I'm going to start at verse 30. And it says, and that Joseph made haste, for his bowels did yearn upon his brother. And he sought where to weep, and enter into his chamber, and wept there. And he washed his face, and went out, and refrained himself, and said, set on bread. And they set on for him by himself, and for him by themselves. And for the Egyptians which did eat with him by themselves, because the Egyptians might not eat bread with the Hebrews, for that is an abomination unto the Egyptians. So through the Spirit, what Joseph did, he wasn't able to eat with the Egyptians. The Hebrews can't eat with the Egyptians. Why? Because it was an abomination. Now that carried on through the Spirit all the way to the book. When you read Esther, she refrained from the meat. Daniel, Judith, all of that took what? Integrity. To say, you know what? My forefathers carried this on. I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm not gonna do that. When they could have got killed by the king. Right, let's go to Tobit chapter 1. All by saying no. This Tobit chapter 1 and verse number 11. I'm going to start at verse 10. Tobit 1 and 10. And when we were carried away captives to Nineveh, all my brethren and those that were of my kindred did eat of the bread of the Gentiles. So all of the Tobit's kindred, they was eating of the bread of the Gentiles, meaning of their food, their dainties, eating, drinking, being merry with them. Verse 11, but I kept myself from eating. And that could be on the spiritual level. Because what can you eat? You could eat wickedness, sin. The Lord said in Job chapter 34 and verse 3, the ear tried words as the mouth tastes of meat. That could be doctrines. That could be when Eve, guess what? What did she eat? The fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Now, was that literal? No, guess what? Meaning she learned it. So you could learn what? Wickedness, sin, evilness. But it says, but I kept myself from eating. Verse 12, this is the point. Because I remember God with all my heart. So Tobit had integrity by what? By remembering God. So if you're in a situation where You could possibly sin against the Most High. What do you have to do? Do you just sit there? A lot of people, they go and they just scroll on their phone, right? Do you pray? Like, what do you do? What you have to do is you have to remember the Most High God in your heart. You have to think about the precepts. Well, hold on. First, now we can't be doing this, right? I have to give my time to the Most High God, right? I have to be fast. Dang, Jacob, trouble on the rise. World War III on the rise. Man, I got to get right. I have to stay in the spirit. All by what? It says, because I remember God with all my heart. And that's going to help you to have integrity by remembering the Most High God. Remember his laws. Remember his commandments, his statutes, his ordinances that he has set up from the beginning. Let's go to the book of Genesis, chapter 39. Right, this is the book of Genesis, chapter 39. Genesis chapter 39 and verse number 6. It says, and he left all that he had in Joseph's hand, and he knew not aught that he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a goodly person and well favored. So when you read this, Pharaoh promoted Joseph to have everything over his house. He was second in command in Egypt. Verse 7. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, lie with me. So Joseph, he's in a situation that's like Jake. Jake come up, he gets some money in his pocket, right? Things going well for him, nice car, nice house. What comes with that? Attention. With that also comes women. So guess what? You have another man's wife looking upon Joseph, right? And she, guess what? She said, lie with me. Now, we don't know what she looked like. We don't know how she was. But guess what? She could have been beautiful. She could have been fair to look upon. Shaped up, right? Long hair, nice skin. It could have been tempting. Obviously, that's why the Most High put him in this situation. Guess what Joseph, reading on, it says, but he refused and said unto him, and told it to his master's wife, behold, my master, what if not, which is with me in the house, and he have committed all that he have to my hand. So Joseph said, hold on, we not dealing with this. I can't do this. I can't lie with you. What if a woman, beautiful to behold, she came up to you and she said, hey, let's go have some fun tonight. What's your name? All right, let's go out to this place. Once you want to come back to my house? A lot of brothers, they'll go, man. They'll say, dang, man, I can't pass this one up. All right, she got a nice car. She tell you, I know how to cook. I could take care of you. Let's just be together. You don't know this woman at all. You just blinded by lust and how good she looks. Guess what? Joseph, he said, we can't do this. I refuse. You have certain men, they commit adultery. Guess what? Joseph said, I can't do this. Now, why did Joseph say that? Let's read on. Verse 9. There is none greater in this house than I. Neither hath he kept back anything from me. But thee, because thou art his wife, how then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? So Joseph said, hey, you my master's wife. And this was a heathen. How much more your own brother, your own sister? Nah, man, I can't do this sister like this, man. That's the daughter of Zion. I wouldn't want nobody to do that to my daughter. The law says, hold on, we can't be a whore, all bread is sweet to a homemonger. That's Sirach 23:19. No fornication. We can't deal with this. How many men will actually say that, man? Like I said, a lot of men will be blinded by lust. They get seduced, then they fall out of the truth. Likewise with women. Joseph had a high level of integrity. All he said was what? He said, no, I can't do this. Let's go to the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 11. Right? 2 Samuel, chapter 11. It's 2 Samuel, chapter 11, and verse number 2. It reads, "And it came to pass in an eventide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself, and the woman was very beautiful to look upon." So David's going out and he's seeing a woman that's beautiful to behold, another man's wife chiefly. Verse 3, "And David sent and inquired after the woman, and one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Elam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite?" And that's spiritual through the spirit, because you always gonna have that one voice in the back of your head tell you, well, hold on, don't the precepts say this? Don't the law say this? Don't the commandments say this? Hold on, I don't think this is a good choice. Some people, the world calls it having a guilty conscience, but deeply down inside, that's the Most High telling you that. Tell you, don't smoke that. That's a sin. Don't go out with this woman. Don't have worldly conversations. Don't be into foolishness and madness. Don't Proverbs 6:6 say this? But guess what? Man is blinded through their lust. So in this point, David didn't have no integrity in this situation. Because again, you always going, whether that's a person with you physically or whether that's through the spirit, it's always going to be something telling you, well, hold on, this is so and so. It's not she married already? Right, reading on verse 4. "And David sent messengers and took her," meaning David didn't want to hear that. "And she came unto him, and he lay with her, and she was purified from her uncleanness. And she returned into her house, and the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child." So all due to a person not having integrity, you could commit adultery. Not only that, you could bear children with another woman with adultery. So not only did he commit adultery, but he got this woman pregnant. All just by not saying no, not telling yourself, and ultimately you got to tell yourself no. You have to tell your flesh, we're not doing this today. You have to have self-control. You have to have temperance. You have to be doing righteousness all the time, pursuing the Psalms 106:3. All of that plays a part in integrity. Right? Let's go to the book. Precept I was thinking of. Let's go to the book of Proverbs, chapter 1. Right? It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 1, and verse number 10. "My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not." And every day you're going to have, whether that's actual sinners on a physical level, or you're going to have spirits that's going to try to entice you. The Lord said, if sinners entice you, if any sin try to come against you, consent thou not. That's how you start building up your integrity. If you don't have integrity, ask the Lord to increase your integrity or to give you the integrity of Job, so I could be able to survive through this wicked world, because sin and wickedness is only going to increase. You think sin is going to stop? No, sin is going to, it's a future prophecy for wickedness to increase. We're going to get that in a minute. But let's go to 1 Peter 4:4 real fast. Right, let's go to 1 Peter chapter 4 and verse number 4. So like you're not 1 Peter 4:4, 1 Peter 2:12. Right, Salakia. This is the book of 1 Peter chapter 2 and verse number 12. "Having your conversation honest among the Gentiles, that whereas they speak against you as evildoers, they may behold your good works, which they shall behold, glorify God in the day of visitation. And you can have somebody come into the truth just off your integrity alone. If not, you're going to have the Gentiles, the men that don't believe in God, they're going to they're going to say you're an evildoer. It was this one sister, she told one brother, she said, hold on, is this how an Israelite should be conducting himself? And the brother kind of got confounded. Say, dang, it cut his spirit. Why? Because he was in wickedness, right? He did some things he wasn't supposed to be doing. And the Lord put the spirit on that woman, which is crazy to say, hold on, is this how an Israelite should be conducting himself? And the brother he got confounded and he was speechless, right? And he durst not ask any questions. The Lord can have that. It's plenty of stories brothers have been literally not having integrity, and the Most High put a spirit on a non-believer and had them get convicted in a spirit to say, dang, why am I doing this? Hold on, this is not right. This is not what the Most High is looking for. I can't disappoint the Most High God. And you kind of have your head down, man. So that's why you want to have an honest report or an honest conversation among the Gentiles, so they even behold your good works and glorify the Heavenly Father. Now, let's go to the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 14. It's 2nd Esdras, chapter 14, and verse number 16. I'm going to start at verse 15. 2nd Esdras 14 and 15. It says, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to flee from these times. For yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen shall be done hereafter. So you think the evils you see right now on the earth is something? No, the Lord said, guess what? Greater evils is going to happen. Sin is going to multiply. Temptation is going to get stronger. Integrity, honesty, good works, all of that is going to start to diminish. Because certain men, they're going to get overtook in that evil. Verse 17, for look how much the world shall be weaker through age, so much more shall evils increase upon them that dwell therein. So evils is only going to increase. Let's go to 2nd Esdras 5 and 2. If wickedness, sin, evil is only going to increase, what does that have to mean to you as an individual? That means you have to increase in good works, integrity, being on fire, serving the Most High God, casting off demons, devils just trying to get you out the spirit. This is what you have to have in order to survive. Because again, if you don't have these things, it's only one way, and that's death. Eventually, if you don't repent, the Most High, he's going to get up with you, and you're going to get cut down in the land of the living. Jacob's trouble happening, you decide not to have integrity, that's it. Right now, this is the practice. This is the practice mode. The Lord is giving you these different trials and tribulations. Once the hour and temptation comes, and you have one shot and one shot only, what are you going to do? Are you going to fold, or are you going to have integrity? That's going to determine whether you're worthy for the kingdom of the Most High or not. Right, let's go to 2nd Esdras chapter 5 and verse number 2. This 2nd Esdras chapter 5 and verse number 2. But iniquity shall be increased above that which now thou seest, or that thou hast heard long ago. So all of the wickedness that happened in the ancient world, all the wickedness that's happening now, the Most High said that's going to increase. What are you going to do? Are you going to let those evils multiply and get stronger over your integrity? Or are you going to increase your integrity and have it to overpower those evils? Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon, the 4th chapter. And these questions we have to take in consideration. Right, this Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 4 and verse number 10. Wisdom of Solomon 4:10. He pleased God and was beloved of him, so that living among sinners, he was translated. Who is it talking about? It's talking about Enoch. When you read Genesis chapter 11, or Genesis chapter 5, rather, you read about all of the sons of God and their description. One thing that stands out about Genesis chapter 5, you read about a man named Enoch. He walked with God and was not, meaning he was not found on the earth anymore. Why? Because the Lord translated him. He got beamed up into a chariot. Read on. It says, yes, speedily he was taken away, lest that wickedness shall alter his understanding, or it says, or deceit beguile his soul. So you had a lot of evil and wickedness going on during the time of Enoch, during the time of sons of God, a lot of idolatry. Now, did that stop? Enoch could have gave in to that. He could have said, well, hold on. Man, it's so much wickedness going around. I might as well be partakers in it for one night. Though Enoch holding his integrity, then the Lord, he had so much integrity, the Most High had to take him up out of there. He had to say, hold on, no. Send a chariot to beam this man up right now. Lest that wickedness overtake him and that deceit beguile his soul. Same thing with Lot. Lot was vexed with the filthy conversation of the wicked. But guess what? That didn't stop him from keeping the commandments or serving the Most High God in honesty and sincerity. And that shouldn't define you, because it's going to become a time where you're going to have to make a decision. You're going to have to make a decision to serve God and keep his commandments, or serve sin and the spiritual demon Satan. Which route are you going to take? Now, it might not happen now, might not happen tomorrow, but it's going to come a time, whether that's tomorrow, next week, 2 weeks from now, today, where you're going to have to choose, or you're going to keep your commandments, have integrity, say no to wickedness, or you're going to serve the spiritual demon Satan. Let's go to the book of Psalms. Right, Salakia. Let's go to Psalms chapter 94. This Psalms chapter 94 and verse number 16. It says, who will rise up for me against the evildoers? Or who will stand up for me against the workers of iniquity? And that's a rhetorical question. The Most High is always asking this question. Who gonna stand up for me? Who gonna stand up for my laws? Righteousness. Who gonna stand up for my commandments? Who gonna stand up for what's right? Why? Because we living in a world where nobody stands up for righteousness. People pretend, they act, right? They put on a facade, but who really gonna take this thing serious? Who gonna take these laws, statutes, commandments fervently and on fire, no matter who's around us? Why? Because the Lord stood up for you when nobody else did. Who stood up for you in the world? When you was being a nigger, right? A wicked man. When you was being a statistic to the so-called white man system. Who was standing up for you when you was in wickedness? Hey, the Lord, he was. He vouched for you. It's only right that you keep that same energy you vouch for the most. All the Lord asking in return is, hey, I standed up for you. I stood up for you. I protected you. Are you going to stand up against me? Are you going to stand up for me against the evil man? Are you going to stand up for my commandments when nobody's watching? Are you going to have integrity? Are you going to defend? I'm asking you this one time. You have to be able to make that decision to say, you know what? Hey, I'm going to stand up for the Most High God. We going to stand up for the Lord. Not just when the so-called white man's at camp. Not when it's just scoffers. But out through our everyday life, through the Spirit. Let's go to Proverbs chapter 11. This Proverbs chapter 11 and verse number 3. it says the integrity of the upright shall guide them. So your integrity is going to guide you through this world of darkness. It says what? But the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. What's the opposite of integrity and uprightness? Perverseness and transgressions. What does that equal? Destruction. So if you don't have integrity, you better get it now. You better go on a fast for it. If you have integrity, but it's at a low, it's not as where you want it to be, you better increase it. Why? Because you're going to be destroyed. It's only a matter of time. Whether that's tomorrow, 5 years from now, you could be destroyed. 10 years from now when you least expect it. Or you could just simply not make it. You could get destroyed here with the ICBM missiles. All off of not having integrity. So let's go to I'm going to read that again. It says, the integrity of the upright shall guide them, but the perverseness of transgressors shall destroy them. Let's go to Tobit. It's like not Tobit. Let's go to Proverbs 28 and verse number 18. Right? It's Proverbs chapter 28 and verse number 18. And it reads, it says, whoso walketh uprightly shall be saved, but he that is perverse in his ways shall fall at once. This is salvational. This determines whether you're going to be saved. This determines whether you're going to survive the end of the world. Whether you're going to survive Jacob's trouble. Whether you're going to survive the hour of temptation. Whether you're going to escape all things and be counted worthy to stand before Yahushua himself in the second wilderness. All if you're going to walk uprightly, if you're going to have integrity or not. And the choice is yours. Which one are you going to have? Right, but with that, we're giving all honor and glory to the Most High God. Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach Umarak Yahushua. Most High willing, this video was edifying. Continue to read, pray, fast, and study. Most importantly, beseech the Heavenly Father for his mercy. With that, I'm going to say Shalom.